The Great British Standoff, a tale of the perfect cue. Arthur Pringle was a man of simple pleasures. He liked his tea strong enough to support a bridge, his biscuits structurally sound, and his afternoons predictably grey. But above all, Arthur was a connoisseur of the cue. To Arthur, a queue wasn't just a line of people, it was a silent social contract, a masterpiece of unspoken etiquette, and the pinnacle of British civilization. One Saturday morning, news reached his village that the Museum of Extremely Obscure Household Objects in London was opening a special exhibition on the history of the thimble. Naturally, the city was abuzz. Arthur donned his finest tweed jacket, the one with the reinforced elbows for leaning, grabbed his most reliable umbrella, which, according to the umbrella paradox, ensured it wouldn't rain until he actually needed it, and set off. Upon arriving at the museum, Arthur's heart leapt. The queue was magnificent. It snaked around the block, past the artisan bakery, and disappeared somewhere toward the Thames. It was a beautiful, living thing. "Right then," Arthur whispered, taking his place with the precision of a Swiss watchmaker. He didn't just stand, he integrated. He maintained the mandatory one trolley length of personal space, ensuring he was close enough to signify belonging, but far enough to avoid any accidental intimacy. The man ahead of him was wearing a hat that looked like a depressed pheasant. He turned around. "Bit of a wait, isn't it?" Arthur smiled the subtle, tight-lipped smile of a man who didn't want to overcommit to a conversation. "Could be worse. Could be raining." True, the man agreed. "I'm Nigel. I've been here since the milkman made his rounds. I think the person at the front is actually a statue now." "Excellent," Arthur said. "Solid foundation. That's what a good queue needs." As the hours ticked by, the queue became its own ecosystem. It was the national anthem of 2020 all over again, but in person. Instead of, "Can you hear me?" the refrain was, "Do you think we've moved an inch?" A woman behind Arthur, clutching a thermos like a holy relic, sighed. "I heard a rumor that the exhibition doesn't even have the 14th century silver thimble. They say it's still in transit." Arthur felt a surge of adrenaline. This was the missed opportunity of the day, the chance to use a weather-related idiom. "Well," he said, looking at the clouds, "the forecast did say changeable. Perhaps the thimble is just feeling under the weather." Nigel laughed, a dry British sound that resembled a biscuit snapping. "I say, that's a good one. You're quite the brainstormer, aren't you?" Suddenly, a minor crisis erupted. A tourist, clearly someone who didn't understand the sacred geometry of the line, tried to slide into a gap near Nigel. The entire queue stiffened. It was a collective Control-Z moment for the atmosphere. No one shouted, no one pushed. Instead, the British public engaged in their most lethal weapon, the audible sigh. "Tss, goodness me." "Some people," muttered the woman with the thermos. The tourists, sensing the overwhelming weight of passive-aggressive disapproval, turned a shade of tomato red and retreated. The queue had won. Peace was restored. "Close call," Nigel whispered. "Thought I'd have to use my stern face for a second there." By hour 4, the queue had achieved a level of sophistication the museum inside could only dream of. A local entrepreneur was selling overpriced tea, and Arthur was on his 6th cup. He knew he should stop, but it's the English way. You don't say no to tea, you just gradually increase the level of, "Ooh, I really shouldn't," before accepting the next one. "You know," Nigel said, leaning against his umbrella, "I don't even like thimbles that much. I'm more of a button man myself." "Me neither," admitted Arthur. "But look at this line. The spacing, the stoicism. It's the most interesting thing I've seen all year. It's better than the Sunday roast battle for the last Yorkshire pudding." They watched a seagull steal a bag of crisps from a nearby teenager. "Nature is healing," Nigel remarked. "The Brighton Pier experience right here in the city." Finally, the museum doors were in sight. A weary official in a blazer stepped out. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm afraid the thimble exhibition is now closed for the day. Technical difficulties with the display cases. A hush fell over the crowd. In any other country, there might have been a riot. But here, Arthur looked at Nigel. Nigel looked at the woman with the thermos. Well, Arthur said, adjusting his tweed, it was a lovely queue while it lasted. Very well formed. Top notch, agreed Nigel. Same time next week for the history of salt shakers? I wouldn't miss it for the world, Arthur replied. He turned to leave, making sure to say sorry to a lamppost he accidentally brushed against on his way to the station. He had spent 5 hours standing on a damp pavement, seen absolutely nothing of the museum, and spent £20 on lukewarm tea. As he sat on the train watching the mist settle over the fields, Arthur smiled. It had been a perfect day. Keep calm and carry on indeed.